Drake has a new track out. Hold On We're Going Home is the title, and this shit is fire. Let's get some French vanilla scented candles and hop in a bubble bath just to set the ambiance for this new Drake track. Drake has turned the vulnerable feeling niggas get after 5 seconds after you come into a whole 3-minute song of pure moisture. Nothing Was the Same, dropping in September. It looked like this album's gonna be filled with pure moisture.
Way back in the day, before Akademiks rarely even showed his face on his respective platforms, he was looking for his big break within hip-hop media. And in search of an opportunity, Akademiks would reach out to all the heavy hitters within the landscape at the time. This is back in 2013, before the internet controlled the narratives. Instead, it was radio personalities like Ebro and Charlamagne who were the biggest voices in hip-hop media. Because of that, Akademiks reached out to them both. Charlamagne actually embraced Snackademics, while every other radio personality aggressively shot him down.
I was tired of chasing around these pompous motherfuckers who all thought they were the shit. I said, this shit ain't cut out for me if I need to beg these motherfuckers who think their shit don't smell to sit right next to me, that I could have some visibility. Charlamagne was one of the only niggas that said, because me and him used to argue on Twitter, and it wasn't like argue like I'm dissing, but it was just like, I listened to the show every day. I was a student, and I would tweet at him and argue with him, and I ain't gonna lie, he would engage. That was back when Charlamagne would actually tweet. That was cool. I did an interview with him way back. It's like in 2013. Ironically, 2013, you hear Charlamagne said, hip-hop is in a golden era.
This was long before the days that any YouTubers had a substantial voice in terms of shifting narratives within music discourse and the industry as a whole. The main powerhouses of media came from the radio station Power 105.1, which hosted Charlamagne's Breakfast Club show, as well as the other biggest New York radio station at the time, Hot 97, which hosted Ebro's show. With the two stations being titans within New York, it came with a fair share of tension. So with Akademiks, who at the time had his sights set on being an aspiring radio personality, after he sat down with Charlamagne for an interview, he requested a sit down with Ebro, who quickly laughed in his face.
I reached out to Hot 97 and I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to talk to Ebro. When I reached out, I was greeted with they looked at me as the ops. Obviously, I looked up to Charlamagne. I was a huge fan of his. But because my interview with him was out, they told me, ain't you Charlamagne's boy? Why the fuck will we be doing something with you? Subsequently, nothing ever happened. We never did the interview. The radio DJ, who were all employees of Hot 97, were in a O-Block 63rd beef with the people who worked at Power 105. They were in full beef. At a point, if you went to a big party, you couldn't have a Power 105 DJ and a Hot 97 DJ on the same lineup. It was straight up beef. Now, these motherfuckers were beefing, gangbanging for a company they didn't own. But you know what? They felt like they did. When they had that logo next to their name, Hot 97 or Power 105, they walked around like big shots.
This would be a big gotcha moment for Akademiks years down the line, as YouTube and social media quickly replaced radio for being the #1 source where people got their information from. With Akademiks being rejected by all the radio personalities, he got his head start on YouTube. And decades later, with radio's audiences shrinking, they needed to tighten their budgets, and that meant firing personalities like Ebro, the same titan who once rejected Akademiks. Meanwhile, Charlamagne, who had embraced Akademiks early on, throughout the decades, he never relied on a corporation, instead staying ahead of the curve and very calculated with his moves, resulting in him signing an estimated $200 million deal with Netflix and iHeartMedia to host his podcast network. But let's take it back to 2013, because when Akademiks finally did sit down for an interview with Charlamagne, he asked him about the radio station beef that he believed Ebro was spearheading. And Charlamagne gave Akademiks some very crucial advice, shaping the future of his legacy. He warned Akademiks and all the content creators of the future that their focus should not be on the team that they play for. They should not be concerned if they're on the biggest media outlets at the time, like radio stations akin to a Hot 97 or a Power 105. But instead, they should be busy cultivating their own audiences independently, with the end goal being hanging their own jersey in the rafters. AKA, your legacy is defined by what you bring to the table, not by the massive corporations that you're attached to.
How you feel about the other two people, or three people now on the show? We got Ebro as program director, Peter Rosenberg, Cypher Sounds.
I don't.
A lot of people say Ebro is kind of like jumping on the morning show, trying to like be like you.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I don't know what he's over there trying to do.
I listen to both. I seen it. He's been throwing shots at. I remember when Jay dropped the open letter joint, throwing a lot of shots.
I didn't hear none of that.
And then everyone always, whenever they throw shots at you, they always say if I'm getting jumped, I want to run. And I think that was obviously true over the whole situation outside the radio station. So, I mean, do you have any personal relationship with any of them?
I don't know none of them. Me and Rosenberg talk every now and then. I don't even consider them competition.
I think a lot of people think Power 105 versus Hot 97 is some serious beef. On some, if, for example, you see Flex or you
I don't see none of them. Don't none of them
might be swinging on each other. It's not like that.
I don't see none of them. I see out of all of them, I probably have seen Ebro the most. Just, being in New York, like he'll be out, but I don't look at them as competition. I'm looking past them. Like the only competition I see is in the mirror. Like I don't feel like nobody can stop what we do over here but us. I hear people talk about legacy. Like they like to talk about legacy and the legacy of Hot 97. The only people over there that can talk about legacy is Funkmaster Flex and Angie Martinez. Of course, the Mr. C's enough, but Flex and Angie have been there from really the beginning. So this is something that people got to understand. Just because you're a Boston Celtic don't mean that you're destined to win the championship every year. Just because you're a Los Angeles Laker don't mean that you're destined to win the championship every year. You still got to go out there and play. So to be a part of a franchise that isn't winning right now, but talk about the legacy, makes no sense. You got to go out there and play. What are you doing to put your name in the rafters? Because all of there's people from I-97 whose names are already in the rafters. Wendy Williams' name's in the rafters. Is your name going to be in the rafters? Flex's name going to be in the rafters. Angie's name going to be in the rafters. Is your name going to be in the rafters? That's just the way my mindset is.
Yeah.
Rosenberg, is your name going to be in the rafters? Cypher, is your name going to be in the rafters? Like this right here, this is like, to me, it's like a team that is really starting to prosper right now. We're starting to push this brand. There's been a lot of people who've worked over here, but nowadays when people see this, they think the Breakfast Club.
I think when it's said and done, Breakfast Club gonna go in the Raptors, at least for this station.
That's great for
I
me.
feel like you guys are new youth there, and you represent exactly what people on like the youth on social media is thinking about, talking about how they feel. So I think I kind of get you.
And when you talk of legacy, we're creating our own legacy over here. Like the Breakfast Club's creating our own legacy.
And it was advice like this from Charlamagne that likely put the battery in Akademiks' back to build the independent media empire that he eventually would. A couple years down the line, Akademiks would also team up with Joe Budden for the hip-hop internet debate show Everyday Struggle.
I'm telling you something. I care about you.
I'm out there with my girl, my manager, somebody else.
Stop.
I'm walking.
Stop.
And just
Stop.
like
Joe would seemingly also go down a similar path that Charlamagne had advised Akademiks to follow, as he would never attach his brand to a radio station or a legacy media brand, and instead independently cultivate his audience on Patreon, where he now earns an estimated $1 million a month from subscribers alone. And I think it was that independent way of thinking that would lead Akademiks, Joe Budden, and Charlamagne to be ranked by Complex as the 3 biggest hip-hop media personalities of 2026. Actually, I made a mistake. They listed Charlamagne as number 5, but Akademiks loved Charlamagne so much that he said Charlamagne deserved that number 3 slot behind him and Joe.
Man, his voice still moves stuff. Whether it's with artists, whether it's with culture, and I'm gonna be honest with you, like he's clearly number 4. I'm gonna be honest with you, he's a little bit. It's still 1, 2, and 3. I still think he should be 3.
But even with all these accomplishments, none of them were able to escape their fair share of controversy.
Talking about today is just pure fucking insanity and depravity. Recently, footage has been spread of Akademiks talking to a 15-year-old boy, which that in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad or harmful thing, but in the instances in which you find yourself in those contexts, especially when you're dealing with individuals who are less than half your age, it is upon you, the very much adult in that situation, to not do something like, I don't know, start engaging the kid about his sex life.
So you tell me that there's not another 15 that you could.
And it wasn't just Akademiks. Charlamagne also wasn't exempt from his old skeletons recently coming back to haunt him.
Charlamagne the God's raped allegations resurface, and we have an exclusive interview with his alleged victim.
Now, it's no doubt that when a massive cultural moment occurs, the biggest commentators within the space will see a massive boost in their numbers. And that's exactly what happened to Akademiks, Joe Budden, and Charlamagne. And with that, they all got accused of pushing certain narratives that fit their agenda. Hip-hop became more divided than ever before, and with that, the respective media personalities all seemingly picked a side. Now stick with me here, because this is where it gets kind of complicated. Of course, we know Jay-Z is not liked by the OVO community because he has a large role in selecting the Super Bowl halftime performers, and right after the Drake and Kendrick beef, Kendrick was of course selected to be the performer.
I want to perform their favorite song, but you know they love the sue. What song? Yeah, that song.
Joe Budden and Charlamagne often speak on Jay-Z in a very high regard and have defended him amidst his many public controversies over 2025. The Diddy lawsuits, the Epstein files. I did a full breakdown of the beef between Drake and Jay-Z, so I'll leave a link to that video in the description of this video, and we won't touch on that too much. But speaking of Drake, while Joe Budden and Charlamagne have definitely defended Jay-Z quite heavily, Akademiks on the other end has been gobbling Lobbery Graham's goblets so heavily that upon the release of Drake's Iceman album, he actually gifted Akademiks a dog chain for being such a good puppy to the petty petition printing princess.
That's the one thing money can't buy, even though money bought it.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
It's not real, is it? It's legit? Yeah. For me? Yeah. Overdue. They're at the wrong time.
And ever since Akademiks got gifted this chain, he's turned the glazing up to a whole other level and declared war on the entirety of hip-hop media that has went against himself and Drake. But let's rewind for a second, because exploring Akademiks' role in being Drake's mouthpiece leads us down a pretty dark spiral. Right around the peak of the Kendrick and Drake beef, Akademiks launched a Twitter page called Akademiks TV, which allegedly is not actually ran by him, but instead by this Asian man in Australia who goes under the alias Grand Wizard Chat Guy. If you guys didn't know, a Grand Wizard is the title that was historically given to the national leader of the Ku Klux Klan organization, aka the KKK. So you got this alleged Asian Australian man running this Twitter page spewing a lot of racist, bigoted statements, all under a KKK alias, and to no surprise since Akademiks hired him, he's a massive Drake fan. But this is beyond your regular everyday OVO. This man on this Twitter page is constantly trashing Kendrick Lamar, any TDE or PG Lang artist associated with him, all in the means of protecting Drake's image. A while back, Akademiks had actually revealed on his stream that a private investigator had went all the way out to Australia, sat outside the Grand Wizard's house, and claimed that she was conducting an investigation based off information she had that Drake was using bots online, the same thing Kendrick accused him of on 616 in LA when he rapped, "You're playing nerdy" with Zach Bia and Twitter bots. But this investigator claims that it's actually DJ Akademiks and his little minion, Grand Wizard, who were working in cahoots with Drake to push all that propaganda that you see on that nasty Twitter page.
I study bots for a living.
The private investigator had actually got on the phone with the Grand Wizard, and they unpack a lot of insane stuff. I broke this down a couple months back. It's going to play a very important role in what's going on today between Akademiks and Charlamagne, so I'll let the old rapaholics break this phone call down so you can see how deep the ties between Drake, Akademiks, and this nasty Twitter page actually may go.
Sat outside, somehow got phone numbers, texted, saying, hey, we're not leaving outside until we see you. We want to speak to you. By the way, also, I need to know what Roc Nation got with Drake. What they got going on?
This is not the Akademiks Rico. This is not the Akademiks takedown. This is an attempted takedown at Drake. They're trying to dig up information from Akademiks' team on what they know behind Drake, but they've been digging, they've been grilling, all right?
This is the Akademiks media empire Rico, except it's bigger than that. No, this is the Drake Rico, because I've listened to this before. They don't want me, they want Drake. Listen to this.
So Akademiks plays the phone call between the private investigator and Grand Wizard, and basically Grand Wizard, his picture's been exposed. Akademiks is already jumping ship. He's already acting like he doesn't know who this guy is. He wants nothing to do with him. He's completely disassociating with this guy.
Who's the wizard then? I'm obviously the wizard here.
To be fair, I don't know who Grand Wizard is. I want to put that on the record. It's my boy, but he might be AI.
So this is where it gets crazy, guys. So the private investigator who's questioning this Grand Wizard guy, all right, she says that she knows for 100% certain that Drake bots his music, and she wants to know what Grand Wizard knows about that, because obviously at this point, these Akademiks guys, all these little minions, they have become infiltrated in Drake's operation, and this investigator is looking into whatever they have on Drake for whatever reason. But she says 100% they know, based off the investigations they've done, that Drake has used bots. After all the Kendrick accusations he's made, they're claiming that Drake 100% himself uses bots on his music.
So you're accusing... So Drake bots his music. That's what you're trying to say. Allegedly.
I'm 100% sure he does.
You're 100% sure.
Yo, Rock Nation, what y'all got going on, man? Rock Nation, Meg the Stallion. How Drake telling y'all other niggas bot? Y'all trying to get at Drake because y'all think he bot? Come on, man.
Akademiks has said that he's done his research on this investigator. She is in fact real and was actually some sort of cyber security investigator, right? So obviously that deals in digital manipulation, right? Fake streams could fall under that category, which is what she's saying she knows 100% for certain Drake uses. Akademiks is confused. Is this some sort of botting investigation? Is that what you're trying to find? Are you trying to find out, if we're the one deploying these illegal fake streams onto Drake's music? Grand Wizard goes on to ask her, why would the biggest artist in the world need fake streams? Well, hey, how do you think he became the biggest artist in the world? The investigator also goes on to ask about Stake, which Drake has a partnership in, right? If you guys didn't know, that's the gambling company that Drake has been doing a bunch of live streams where he gambles on.
So why are you certain? The evidence shows that. But why does the biggest artist in the world need to bot his music if he's the biggest artist in the world?
Let's talk about Stake.
You said what?
Let's talk about Stake.
I know the investigator's name. I looked up their credentials. Again, I don't want to dox them because I don't want none of y'all harassing them. Apparently, they worked in cyber frauds, money laundering frauds, all type of fraud. I don't know if they're investigating botting or what. I don't know what they're investigating.
And this investigator makes it very clear that she believes there is a connection between Drake and this Grand Wizard guy and Akademiks, right? That they're all in cahoots with one another, deploying some very sketchy things, to say the least. And based off her line of questioning, it's in relation to Stake, it's in relation to the bots, which she says she knows 100% for certain Drake has been using.
How my name get up in the mix, shorty?
No, I'm asking if they pay you to do the work that you do.
What work do I do?
On behalf of Akademiks, on behalf of Drake, do they pay you to do the work that you do?
At some point, we gotta say, like, this whole, like, Meg the Stallion, Rock Nation, like, they're losing it.
So the Grand Wizard goes on to say that these are all Kendrick Lamar allegations, right? The whole botting allegations that this woman is making, it's related to Kendrick Lamar, right? Because of course Drake was accusing Kendrick of using the bots, so now she's trying to flip it to say no, Drake is the one using the bots. She's emphasizing she knows nothing about Kendrick Lamar. She is a hired investigator, a cyber investigator. It's her job to know that Drake is using bots.
Because this is a very harsh allegation. This is a man's craft here you're talking about. He's perfected his craft over his tenure of his huge music career, and you're trying to diminish it with some Kendrick Lamar allegations?
I don't know any Kendrick Lamar allegations. What I know is data. I'm an investigator, so I know data.
Yeah, I know.
All right, now we're back to the new Rapaholics. And the reason why Akademiks, while he was playing this phone call, kept accusing Rock Nation, Jay-Z's record label, and company of being the one behind hiring this private investigator to travel all the way to Australia to spy on Akademiks' employees is because, like I mentioned before, ever since Kendrick Lamar was chosen to be the Super Bowl halftime performer, there's been this grand conspiracy that Jay-Z is working to destroy Drake. So of course, all of Drake's media minions, like Akademiks, have been online trashing Jay. And it's become this whole segregated war where you gotta pick a side. Either you're Team Rock Nation or you're being paid by Drake. Spicy. Now, things got taken up a level at the beginning of 2026 when a new lawsuit was filed against Drake, Adin Ross, who both have ties and partnership deals with the gambling company Stake, and George Nguyen, who is allegedly the Grand Wizard chat guy that runs the Akademiks TV page. As you can see, the lawsuit basically accuses Drake, Adin Ross, and the guy who runs Akademiks TV of using the gambling company stake to basically transfer money between themselves that is used to fund botting all across social media and streaming companies like Spotify. Now, as far as if there's any actual truth to Drake being in ties with Akademiks TV, let alone using social media bots to push different narratives in his favor, well, we gotta unpack the lengths to which Akademiks will openly admit that he changes narratives that he spews online upon Drake's requests. Huh? What do I mean by that? Well, last year, when Akademiks actually went to one of Kendrick Lamar's concerts, he was pressed by a lot of Kendrick Lamar associates who had asked him if Drake is paying him for the propaganda he pushes. Akademiks denied all these claims, but did admit that back in 2023, when he was trashing TDE artist SZA online, Drake had made the phone call to Akademiks to say, hey, stop going in on her, and Akademiks had actually put a halt to everything he was spewing negatively about SZA, all because Drake had requested it.
You know, Drake hit me and he said, yo, yo, did them niggas press you? Like, were you scared? I hit Drake, I said, what are you talking about, brother? He says, you told him that I'm writing your captions? I said, Drake, did you hear an audio? Because I know they recorded it, but clearly SZA hit him up. And I'm telling this now because, like, yo, I hate when people play with me. Like, I'll expose all you. SZA clearly hit Drake up after the conversation because Day Free, after I talked to him face to face, went to the back, probably told Punch tells SZA, and SZA hits Drake to say, are you the one writing Akademiks captions? So Drake asked me like, yo, why would you tell him that? And I was like, Drake, I never told him that. Only thing I said, yo, we fuck with you, you fuck with us. You're the one who made me stop talking shit about her. Me. Not Act TV, me, nigga, because I was violating her.
Now, beyond this, Grand Wizard's actual Instagram account would get hacked, and all his conversations with Drake would get exposed. You would see in these personal chats that Grand Wizard was actually sending Drake daily updates about the Kendrick Lamar beef. And when it came down to getting his Instagram account back from the hacker, Akademiks would actually admit that it was Drake himself who put money up to get those accounts back. So you can see at the very least, Drake most definitely does have ties to not just Akademiks, but also his employees who are just conveniently pushing out tons of propaganda in Drake's favor.
I study
propaganda
for a living.
Now I'll let Chig Smooth, another YouTuber, I suggest you guys check him out. He did a dope breakdown on everything that went down last year in relation to Drake's ties to Akademiks and his propaganda empire. And stick with me because understanding this context will play an important role in seeing this new media war shape out between Akademiks and Charlamagne. Just remember that there's an active lawsuit out accusing the guy running Akademiks TV, George Nguyen, allegedly, of being in cahoots with Drake, allegedly over social media bots.
Now, if you guys do not know, if you guys are not in tune, Drake is personally investigated in Grand Wizard. Yes, the guy that runs Akademiks TV page. During his battle with Kendrick Lamar, Grand Wizard was literally sending Drake information, which some of it was false information to Drake about Kendrick. After Grand Wizard's Instagram page got hacked, his DMs with Drake also got leaked as well. Think about him as Drake's daily news source. That's right, the guy that runs propaganda and smear campaigns is a guy who Drake basically gets his information from. When Grand Wizard's page got hacked, Drake and Akademiks were pretty much in competition to see who's going to be the first to get his page back. Drake actually paid some hackers a very large sum of money to get his page back. So now that we've established the relationship between Drake and Grand Wizard, here's why it's not so far-fetched to think that Drake also runs Akademiks TV page. Last year, July 2025, when Akademiks got into it with Punch TDE on Twitter, Punch confronted Akademiks over a post that Akademiks TV page made about SZA. Punch said, hey yo, Akademiks, didn't you say that the homeboy personally writes captions for Akademiks TV? Or were you capping when you said it? Now, I believe Punch is referencing when Akademiks went to Kendrick's show. Dave Free and Akademiks had a conversation about certain things, so that's what Punch is referring to. Now, Akademiks responds back to Punch asking him, yo, who is homeboy? Now, without naming somebody, everybody actually thought that Punch was referring to Grand Wizard, but Akademiks kind of self-snitches here. He says, oh, I love this. Let's clarify and set the record straight. Drake never wrote a caption on my page. I have a team that does it. Yes, they are all like me. Heavy Drake fans, not gonna lie. What I said was last time I said anything on stream about SZA, Drake was the one who personally called me and asked me to cool it and walk it back, saying she was crying for 2 days in the studio while he was trying to get her to cut Slime You Out and Rich Baby Daddy. I told Dave Free the exact same thing, and I said if Drake hasn't hit us about anything that was posted, it must be because he don't give a fuck at this point, because he does communicate with my peoples. Any more clarity needed, sir? Punch responds back to him saying, so you didn't tell the homie Dave Free that Drake personally handled the negative captions about SZA? So that's why it might sound crazy to you if you're not aware of the backstory between Drake and Grand Wizard.
Now, before we get to Charlamagne, you guys gotta realize, no media personality is safe from the wrath of Akademiks TV and whoever's behind it. A couple months ago, they even accused Joe Budden of being on Kendrick Lamar and TDE's payroll. And of course, you guys know Akademiks and Joe Budden have pretty close ties. They're friends, they speak highly of each other, but even Joe Budden was going completely off on Akademiks' employee, and you can see that it might lead to a buildup of something very dark if Akademiks keeps attaching his name to this account that is constantly spewing fake news.
Rapper Daylight confirms Joe Budden has been compromised by TDE Payola. And it's confirmed here because they have Daylight writing a sentence that says this. Drake has Ak as his main promo guy. Dot has Joe Budden. I'm telling you now, start pushing it because we're about to make a super wave. So I think it's important, Joe, just for transparency, especially in this conversation, that you own your TDE connections.
When I find that little motherfucker behind that Akademiks TV page, I got somebody that I'm gonna send to talk to him. I'll tell you that much. God damn it. Just a quick little talk.
About what? Revealing the behind the scenes ongoings of you and rapping?
Snitching? About health and wellness.
Basically.
About health and wellness. Yo, I am not being paid by TDE. I have never been paid by TDE. I've never been paid by any artist. I can't be bought. That's what makes me so different from y'all who shake ass for the fucking little... Yeah, we ain't gonna get
Maybe
into
not.
it.
We get a little barter.
I get calls every week from record labels offering to pay me a lot of money to talk about shit that I don't care about or probably just want to talk about for free, but in my own way that I want to talk about it. Don't pay me to big some shit up that I'm not going to big up. I didn't think that Daylight was saying I had been paid, but I understand what he was trying.
He's saying he's cool with them. I take
he's saying that my reporting is favorable to TDE. And it has been while he was fucking kicking ass.
Right. He's doing favorable shit. Right.
Yeah. Truth of the matter, I wanted to see all three of the big three fail a little bit. Kendrick just didn't at the end.
Yeah, he went up.
He went up. Yeah. I'd like to see him all pegged down a notch.
Alright, so you can see how even with Akademiks and Joe Budden being very close, when it comes to Drake, drop a comment if you got that one. Yeah, the guy who runs Akademiks TV, he'll throw any media personality under the bus, even Akademiks' closest allies, all to defend Drake's honor. A little suspicious. But now on to Charlamagne, who was at one point one of Akademiks' greatest influences, but also one of Drake's biggest haters. It serves for a little conflict of interest when it comes to how Akademiks view Charlamagne in 2026, when Akademiks' greatest accomplishment is of course being Drake's #1 meat rider.
Those 3 Big Macs are for me!
Back in November of 2024, when Drake first filed the petitions that served as the foundation behind his lawsuit against UMG over Not Like Us, iHeartMedia, the radio company that Charlamagne actually works under, they were mentioned in Drake's petitions. And of course, that led to a little disagreement, to say the least, between Akademiks and Charlamagne. First, Charlamagne calls the Akademiks brand a quote-unquote Drake fan page because they were spreading propaganda about the impact of Drake's lawsuit against the company that Charlamagne is partnered with, iHeartMedia. Drake was basically accusing UMG and iHeartMedia of engaging in payola, where UMG would make illegal payments under the table to overly boost the radio spins that Kendrick's Not Like Us diss song were getting on their radio stations. Drake would actually drop this petition and refile the lawsuit without naming iHeartMedia as one of the defendants. And Akademiks had allegedly been spreading the misinformation once that happened that iHeartMedia must have paid off Drake to be removed from his official lawsuit. Charlamagne called Akademiks out for this, saying that he's spreading propaganda just to defend Drake. Does that sound familiar?
Well, we know nobody cares about the truth and the lies more entertaining, but I need DJ Akademiks and all the Drake fan pages to gather around to get the truth regardless.
Get the
okay?
facts.
It's simple. What Drake filed against iHeart wasn't a lawsuit. What he filed was a petition. It was a petition to try to make iHeart give a deposition. So Drake wasn't asking for money. He was asking for information. Right. So iHeart could not have made a payment. iHeart could negotiate to give Drake documents or something else showing they didn't do anything wrong. And once Drake received those documents and saw that there was nothing there, he could agree to drop his petition. And that's exactly what happened. He simply dropped his petition because after he saw what he needed to see, he realized iHeart was not engaged in any of the actions that he was accusing them of. And I know Drake fan pages won't run with that because it's not as entertaining as saying, iHeart settled with Drake for money and Drake was right all along. But no, your guy Drake simply dropped the petition because there was nothing there.
Now, Akademiks would go on to attack Charlamagne, admitting that Charlamagne was right in that just because Drake dropped his petition against iHeartMedia doesn't mean that iHeartMedia actually paid Drake, or that iHeartMedia was admitting to any foul play when it came to spinning Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us on the radio. But he also said you have to factor in that The Breakfast Club, Charlamagne's show, is owned by iHeartMedia. And Akademiks implied that because of this, Charlamagne has a lot of bias when it comes to talking about any controversy surrounding the company that he's partnered with. Basically saying that just like how Akademiks is compromised when it comes to Drake, Charlamagne is compromised when it comes to companies like Roc Nation, or in this case, iHeartMedia.
I know we're in this whole fans want to be like, yo, look, Drake's desperate, and oh, look, no, this is real. Like, it means that Drake got everything like figured out and they're going to pay him billions of dollars. Let me give you the actual understanding of what this is. Mr. Charla, since you called for the king, you have gotten the king. Very aware this is a petition. Also, before you report on this, we also have to remind everyone that Charlamagne works for The Breakfast Club, which is owned solely by iHeartMedia. It's like basically saying Akademiks TV on Twitter tweeted out some shit about me, and it's like, well, who owns it? Me. You get what I'm saying? The point is, we also have to consider this source, but I will give the actual understanding of what this is, but I'm only responding since, when you call for the king do step up.
Akademiks also doubles down to say that if he were a host on The Breakfast Club show with Charlamagne and Lauren LaRosa, he would be the smartest person in the room. Again, you have to remember the entire foundation of this specific conversation is on the basis of Drake suing iHeartMedia and UMG over Not Like Us. This was at a very rough time for the OVO community and their defenders because Drake looked terrible when he dropped that lawsuit. Of course, Charlamagne points this out, but Akademiks is trying to do everything he could at this point in time to spin the narrative and make it seem like Drake was not on the losing edge of this lawsuit.
And I would challenge whether it's Lauren LaRosa, Charlamagne, or whoever else, including their source at The Breakfast Club. I think I'm a pretty knowledgeable person. I'm sorry. I might be the smartest cookie if I was in that room. I'm only speaking about what the law is. So payola is clearly illegal. No company is going to say, here's the files. We're doing illegal shit. iHeart would be just getting reamed through. They'll be getting ran through, by the feds. They're not going to give up to a rapper. Oh yeah, of course we're taking mad money. That's a crime. So he was never going to get that. And of course, iHeart's going to send out their statement through their owned company or their own subsidiary, The Breakfast Club, but it didn't absolve iHeart. Here's the real reason why it was actually dropped. Drake dropped it because he realizes, number one, he ain't gonna get much from the company. They're not gonna snitch on themselves. What actually happened is that the FCC is probing iHeart. So because Drake's civil lawsuit, he could only do so much. He could subpoena certain shit, but he can't do that much, even if it's approved by a judge, because who's gonna snitch on themselves?
Now, I'm not going to dig too deep into the rabbit hole of who was right or wrong in this argument, but you gotta understand, if Drake dropped the petition against iHeartMedia and completely eliminated them as a defendant in his official lawsuit against UMG, it could have been for a number of reasons, but it was most likely because his lawyers figured they did not have a concrete enough case against iHeartMedia or enough proof against them to actually take them to court. But let's take the focus off Drake for a second and bring it back to Jay-Z. Remember, Akademiks does not like Jay-Z. He thinks Jay is behind the private investigators that have been, camping outside his employees' houses in Australia. He thinks Roc Nation and Jay are behind all these RICOs and lawsuits trying to take down and tie Drake to Akademiks. But he's also pointing the finger at Charlamagne and Joe Budden for being so biased when it comes to commenting on Jay-Z that they refuse to engage in any discussion related to all the controversy and accusations that have been placed on Jay's jacket over the past year. We know that ever since the Diddy case, Jay-Z became public enemy number one, being roped into a bunch of civil lawsuits from victims that claim Jay-Z was behind SA, as well as Jay's name even being mentioned in the Epstein files, accusations drawing back as far as 1996. When these accusations came out, Akademiks was very vocal in calling out Charlamagne and Joe Budden for their silence on the matter, criticizing them for letting their bias get in the way of fair journalism.
I like to be honest with you because I'm not perfect when it comes to hip hop stuff. I've gotten mad at other people for this. Even when I talk about Jay-Z, I don't care if Charlamagne loves Jay-Z. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if Joe feels like, oh, Hov is my guy. I don't give a fuck. My thing is I hate when people have obvious biases and they act like it's not obvious that they could do a narrative. Because once you tell me that that's your guy, put it like this, respectfully, right? Some people are my guys. Charlamagne does business with motherfucking Roc Nation and Jay-Z, no, not Jay-Z. I mean, Joe is kind of interconnected through, I don't know what. They're not going to call him out. You can't go to those guys for the conversation. It's the reason why when the whole thing with Jay-Z and whatever, and everyone, all these media niggas want to say, oh no, y'all are stupid for believing.
So Joe Budden first responded to this by emphasizing that until there's actual concrete evidence related to Jay-Z and all of these allegations, he's not going to partake in conversations that place some of the most horrible accusations a person can face and validate any disgusting claim that people were making about Jay-Z.
They think we scared of Roc Nation. We get our talking points every day from Roc Nation.
If you want to get Jay-Z and y'all got him, I'm down. But you have to have him. That's a big fish. It can't be, oh, that's his son. I don't care about that. It can't be, oh, the psychic said in 2036 you're going down. Joe talk. No. You asking me to fuck with really powerful people that I know watch and listen to every word I say. And if not every word, certainly when their name come up. So when you have these people, I'm down.
Because we don't know what's true and what's not. And so much untrue shit comes out. And this platform is too big to jump out the window on some shit.
But see, while Joe Budden simply did not want to partake in these dark conversations, Charlamagne approached it from a different angle. He emphasized that a lot of these Drake-oriented fan accounts that are pushing for more people in media to discuss all the rumors circulating about Jay-Z, they're not doing so in an attempt to gain justice for the victims, but instead it's because they believe that Jay-Z has conspired to destroy Drake's career, so they in turn want to congregate in an attempt to destroy Jay-Z's. And notice how this will now be the second time where Charlamagne subliminally implies that Akademiks is a lot more than just a fan of Drake, and in fact may have direct incentive to defend Drake at all costs.
And you're going to see who is behind so much of this stuff.
What does that mean?
You'll see. You'll see who's getting paid. You'll see who's paying them. You'll see. All of this shit gonna come out sooner than later.
What does that mean?
Hey,
You gotta give more than that.
No, I don't. I give more than that when more of that comes out the gift. Okay? Because more of that always comes out the gift. All I do is just give you the warnings, boom, watch. And then everybody gonna be sitting back oh shit, all of this shit is really targeted all the time.
Are you saying that there might be a system that exists not only within hip-hop, but within all forms of media where certain accounts collaborate and target other people by the use of bots and misinformation?
And the crazy thing is, it's not even, I said hip-hop, but it's not even just about hip-hop anymore because hip-hop has so much influence. A lot of it is politically driven, right? A lot of it is who people think, a lot of it is who people think is on what side, right? And based on what side you're on, you will get targeted by certain individuals to hurt your influence. Just remember I said it. You'll see. But that's the crazy thing about stories like this, because everything isn't the same. Like the Epstein files are totally different than somebody calling a goddamn FBI hotline, leaving a fucking anonymous tip. And that's what I said. Those things are clearly distinctive if you choose to go motherfucking read past the headline on Shade Room.
So pay very close attention to the wording that Charlamagne uses there. In response to Akademiks calling out Charlamagne for not speaking up about the rumors surrounding Jay-Z, Charlamagne rebuttals that by saying, eventually, all these platforms that are pushing propaganda about one artist in support of another artist, aka against Jay-Z in favor of Drake, it's gonna come to light eventually that all these accounts are being paid by the artists at the top to support certain narratives that work to better their reputation. We know that about a month later, Akademiks would get an owl chain from Drake, declaring that it was Iceman season and all the media personalities who were hating on Drake after the Kendrick battle should now stay on that side because there's a division within the industry, and in defense of Drake, Akademiks is going to war against everyone.
Those three
owl chain.
So for me.
Spicy. Around the same time, Akademiks would reveal that Charlamagne called him to let him know that there are people spying on him who are potentially out to get him. Remember, like we looked at earlier in this video, months ago, there were private investigators outside the house of Akademiks' employees fishing for information related to a conspiracy that involved both Akademiks and Drake, with Drake being accused of using bots to push narratives that were supported by Akademiks' employees, the Grand Wizard chat guy. Now, months later, Charlamagne is warning Akademiks that people are out here snitching and spying on him. But Akademiks' problem is that Charlamagne won't reveal the source to which he got that information from.
Shout out my man Charlamagne. He gave me a call. He said, this was going around. I seen it. Where'd it come from? I don't know. Charlotte, if I wasn't supposed to air you out on that, it's okay. But listen, I got to get to the bottom of this. What's going on here? Now, like for anything, I like to address things head on. But with that, I don't like doing proxy wars. I like to just kick it off. I tell all y'all eat a dick. Straight up. Y'all ain't stopping nothing. When there is entities that's plotting against me, don't be the messenger. You either with me or against me. No DJ Khaled's around my book. Get the fuck away. I did get alerted that there is some dossier. They thought the big reveal was Akademiks is number one on the media list again. By the way, I'm number one by a mile. I'm not close with you niggas. None of y'all. Listen, whoever it fits, just hold that shot and return it if you want. But I'm speaking as if it's a reason why I'm numero uno.
After this, the Akademiks TV Twitter page that, again, is allegedly ran by the Grand Wizard track guy out in Australia, they began posting many disgusting things related to Charlamagne, digging up the old disgusting skeletons in Charlamagne's closet in an attempt to have his Netflix deal, his $200 million deal, terminated. Akademiks also around this time declared war on the entire hip-hop media landscape.
If you guys go to Akademiks TV on Twitter, it's been nothing but nasty propaganda against Charlamagne. Grand Wizard is pulling up any old clip about Charlamagne, and he starts every tweet saying Netflix podcaster Charlamagne, basically trying to get Netflix attention to eventually do something to Charlamagne. And yes, every negative tweet on Akademiks TV page has been approved by Akademiks.
Not gonna lie, I was saddened. Unfortunately, I had to declare war on the entire hip-hop media. It's not necessarily me, but I had to take the gloves off. My team, my people. At the end of the day, I gotta pick who's aligned with me, and the people who rock with me, they're the people I gotta protect. They've been targeted, harassed. We don't know about who. We gonna find out at some point. I've been kind of holding them back for like the majority part for almost a year. Keep in mind, if y'all think I'm nasty, these people are worse. Birds of a feather, right? It was kind of saddening yesterday because, with the constant harassment that's been coming towards the team for like damn near a year, I had to tell them, I said, listen, the gloves is off. Do what y'all gotta do. If whoever, and I don't know who it is, if they not playing fair, let's make sure we don't play fair. I would rather not get to the point, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, sometimes you got to burn down the whole building to figure out what the source of the issue was.
Now here's where it gets interesting. See, Charlamagne would respond to this by emphasizing that Akademiks left out a key detail. Akademiks claimed Charlamagne told him that key people in his circle were now working against him, but wouldn't reveal the source that told Charlamagne that information. Charlamagne flips it to say that he actually doesn't know the source. It was an anonymous tip. But something that he also revealed to Akademiks that Akademiks chose to leave out of his whole rant is that Charlamagne had heard that two of Akademiks' employees, Grand Wizard Chat Guy and another guy, had told the investigators who were trying to build a case against him that they get orders directly from Akademiks himself and also from Drake. Again, it's important to note that this is all alleged, but Charlamagne is claiming that he heard Akademiks' employees were not only flipping on him, but also revealing to investigators and working with them to let them know that they were receiving orders of what to post and what propaganda to push directly from Drake, allegedly.
Because what came across our desk was the same information, but not that. It just was like this spreadsheet that was like, yo, DJ Akademiks takes money from music people and media people and, you know, political people, and also they take money to spread false narratives about folks, like do these smear campaigns and things of that nature. And that wasn't even what I was really calling them to get a heads up on, because Ak will tell you himself. Ak was like, yeah, I take money to, from music people. Like that's not a secret. The political stuff he said he didn't know anything about. Whatever. The reason I called that, and Ak said, I think that he asked me who was behind it, and I said I couldn't tell him. That's not true. I said, I don't know, but I would find out. Did tell him was that these three individuals, Carson McCoy, another guy named Alex Ocha, and George Nguyen. How you pronounce it, Chris? It's a Vietnamese name. Nguyen.
Win is the closest, yeah.
George Nguyen. That's Grand Wizard Chat nigga. And he is from Australia. What we were told was the Carson kid and George were getting investigated, got pressed by investigators, and cooperated.
No, not Grandy.
And told
not
and said that they get their marching orders from Akademiks and Drake. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if it's not true. I'm just
Grandy's Vietnamese?
What? Is he? He lives in Australia. Yo, I sent Ak the pictures they sent us of him, and Ak goes, who is this? And I go, they say this is the George Grand Wizard Chat nigga dude. And then he was like, what? I thought he was skinny. And so I guess when he sent Grand the pictures, Grand confirmed, like, yeah, man, I got these pictures sent to me, a few months ago. So I was just calling Ak to give him a heads up. And I said, yo, you might need to watch the people around you. Because sometimes, man.
No, Grandy.
Listen, sometimes you.
He's hilarious, though.
I don't know. But sometimes you be in business with people and aren't fully aware of all the things that they may be doing. There's this guy in Australia, he wrote an article called
Pure Rahman.
Kishore Napir Rahman apparently has been doing this story. Like he writes for like a newspaper out there in Australia. So apparently this was a big deal. Like they came to Grand Wizard's house, AKA George Nguyen, and was talking to his parents and was talking to him. And this is all allegedly him and the dude Carson were cooperating and just told them, hey, we do these things because of these two individuals, Akademiks and Drake. Once again, I don't know if this is true or not. I just decided to tell Ak what the hell was going on, right?
According to this, they're rolling on Ak.
Who's rolling on that?
The Grandy and then the other person.
They just said that they're cooperating, and they said that the two people they get their marching orders from was Akademiks and Drake.
But are they so they're cooperating against?
That's what it sounded like to me.
And we know this is true, or this is all alleged right now?
I'm just showing you what they said. They said it's been an investigation.
Now, it's important to remember that after Charlamagne told Akademiks, hey, the people who are running your accounts are working with investigators and blaming you and Drake for the content that they post, when Akademiks confronted them about it and said that he heard that information from Charlamagne, the reaction from the guy who runs the Akademiks TV page was to start posting smear campaigns about Charlamagne. Does that sound like someone who's innocent to you?
Because I was wondering, I'm like, damn, Ak, I told you this information. Why didn't you tell your audience that? Why didn't you tell your audience what I told you about George and Carson? Really in control of these individuals. So either Ak knows what's going on and he's playing me and I'm naive, or he has no idea.
No idea.
But I also think, you know, these guys can be scary, right? Because, like, you know, what if...
Do you think it's that coordinated, though?
I know it is.
Even with him?
Listen, here's the thing. And I wish Alex was here, because unbeknownst to me,
Yeah.
this came from Alex Media had whatever dossier about George like 3 months ago and sent it to him. You're kind of proving these people right. But somebody comes to me and says, hey, this guy right here, you know, works for these two individuals, gets paid to spread these narratives, and then when I go to your man and tell your man something about you, you spend the whole week slandering me.
But why would they slander you? What, isn't that so obvious?
Oh, well, that's a good point. That's a great question. When I saw one of the posts, I sent it to Act. And I'll tell you what Act said. I sent it to Act. I said, yo, aiming at me won't do nothing for him. I just put you on to what came across our desk because you always do it for me. And then he said, yeah, I think he thinks you and Rock Nation are exposing him. Huh? LOL. He said he got those pics 3 months ago, LOL. This is next level, LOL. Dude is in another country. What the fuck I got to do with this? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, so they
what the
think
fuck Rock Nation got to do with this?
They think you're tied to this expose on
how? When I called your man
to notify him,
to tell him what the fuck was going on, Act didn't have to say nothing to nobody. Act could have took that information and did whatever with it. He could have just went and notified his team. I don't know. So if Act notified his team and his team reaction is, all right, well, let's go slander Charlamagne for the week. You're kind of proving the point and making me look like, oh, so maybe it is something to what the fuck may be going on. But I don't know. I don't think Akademiks has anything to do with it. I really don't. I think he's affiliated with some people that he may not know everything that
they're up to.
So you see here, Charlamagne is shooting Akademiks bail, saying that, yeah, the guy who runs the Akademiks TV page, he might be corrupted, he might be allegedly paid by Drake, he might be turning on Akademiks when investigators approach him, but maybe Akademiks is genuinely clueless to this entire situation and doesn't know what's going on with his employees behind closed doors. Charlamagne's podcast co-host, Andrew Schultz, would also try and shoot Akademiks and Grand Wizard Chat Guy some bail, saying that how could Drake be running the Akademiks TV Twitter account when, you know, he's busy dropping 3 albums? You think he also has all this time on his hands to just be tweeting away at all of his ops, doing all these smear campaigns, pushing all this propaganda?
We were told that Carson used to run Akademiks TV, but now, allegedly, George and Drake run Akademiks TV. Now, I told Ak all of this last
Akademiks TV is
it's like a Twitter page that is crazy. Like they go crazy on people. Like they just say the wildest shit. Like, the dude Carson told allegedly told investigators when he cooperated allegedly that he used to run Akademiks TV, but he gave it to George and Drake.
So now we believe that Drake
I don't know. I don't
putting out 3 albums.
I'm not saying I'm believing any of this.
And tweeting.
I'm just saying what's happening.
He's a busy guy, this guy.
All I'm simply saying is they do come to the defense a lot.
Oh, of course.
A lot.
That's where the bread is buttered.
A lot. And after Jay-Z dropped his freestyle this Saturday, he got off me for a second and they just went straight Jay-Z. I'll put a button on it by saying I think that maybe.
Because liking someone is not a crime. Like, you love Kendrick, you think he's an amazing artist. Nobody would ever assume you're getting paid to defend Kendrick.
It's not. But I just think it's 2 things, right? And, you know, when you have those Clippers on your side, that's a great team to have on your side.
They run the internet. The Clippers run the fucking...
But they're also a horrible person to not be on your side.
Oh, of course.
So if you're somebody, because I was wondering, I'm like, damn, Mac, I told you this information. Why didn't you tell your audience that?
Now, Akademiks would clap back to all this, emphasizing that the conversation he had with Charlamagne felt less like Charlamagne warning him about the people in Akademiks' corner and more of Charlamagne trying to persuade Akademiks to actually fire these people that are constantly pushing propaganda in Drake's favor.
If you're just giving me like this warning, it feels like my convo with Charlamagne came across more like he wanted me to back up from Grand and niggas like that. Like, yo, don't fuck with these guys. You're gonna even hear him say some stuff, which I didn't say before, where he's basically like, yo, Grand and them niggas is snitching on you. And I'm like, snitching on me for what? You know? But that was the like, for me, I was just like, I get like, I'm like one of the younger media personalities, but I'm not that green to flip on my squad without you giving me actual, like, you can't, So we don't know where this came from, and I'm supposed to be like, oh, I can't fuck with Grand no more? Because he eventually tells me that supposedly Grand has been talking to investigators and Grand has blamed everything on me and Drake. And I was like, bro, you can't even tell me where this is from. So, like, there's a point where Charlamagne was like, yo, Act, be careful, man. How much do you trust these guys? And I'm like, dude, I trust them more than whatever you're hearing because you can't even tell me where you're getting it from. Like, I don't even know what are you talking about right now? So that was just a little odd to me because I'm like, it's like you're trying to have me to flip or to back up off these people who I'm cool with, who have, you know, we have built a lot in the last couple years. But with you giving me these details, me even asking you, yo, where did shit come from? It's like, yo, I don't know. I can't even talk about it. I'm like, what? Like, what are we talking about? Everybody's playing for themselves. My whole thing is, I know some people like, why are you mad at Charlamagne? I'm not mad at Charlamagne because he gave me a heads up. I'm like, listen, it's clear that somebody on your side is either behind it or got the info from somebody they're cool with. Here's the thing. It's like in war. You just carpet bomb the whole thing. You figure it out later, man. You carpet bomb the whole, and that's kind of what's been happening. And I can't even, you know, trust me. I haven't been necessarily happy about. I don't like seeing Charlamagne being discussed in non-GOAT like manner. I have a lot of reverence to him and his skill and, you know, what he's done for commentary and hip hop, but also we're in like different times. I don't even know what the fuck to say these days. Charlamagne might be in cahoots with niggas that don't. And again, I do take it personal if it's y'all like, oh, we're targeting the people around you, not you. It tells me that there's an investigation going on. Grand Wizard and another person who actually he's chat nigga. So two chat niggas have gotten cornered and have flipped, and they're snitching on me like I'm Dirk. And they're snitched on me and Drake, literally, right? That's the info he told me. He was kind of telling me this info to say, hey, Ack, watch out, because some of these people you have with you, they're snitching. Number one, I'm telling you, I don't believe it, okay? I've talked to these people, and by the way, I hate the fact that he even put that into the air because there's nothing to snitch about. What all this inquiry shit is a civil case. There's no criminal shit.
Cap.
Second of all, I felt like it was a weak attempt to divide and conquer. I told y'all, I'm the most loyal nigga in media. If you ever see my downfall, you're going to say, damn, Ack was a little bit too loyal. And it's okay. That's my tragic flaw, okay? I give people too many chances. It's always been in my life. What Charlamagne then starts to do in our conversation is to say, Ack, he's trying to turn me against Grand Wizard. Say, yo, bro, you sure how much you know him? And I told him straight up, I said, nigga, I trust Grand Wizard with everything, nigga. Straight up, like, what you want me to say? Like, what you think I'm like some like weakling that's gonna be like, man, I don't really know him. Nigga, I trust that nigga with everything, nigga. What are you talking about? And I'll say this publicly because I would say to Charlamagne privately. Charlamagne, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think necessarily this was your plan in necessarily, but y'all wanted me to turn against my guys. I'm not doing that. They told me even, they were like, oh, Ack, I ain't gonna lie. And these guys, they doing a lot of crypto shit, blah, blah. Grand Wizard getting paid millions. Like, yo, we seen the payments. You got paid a couple $100,000. Grand Wizard got paid millions. I said, bro, like, first of all, I am a pocket watcher, but I'm like, how I heard that was to say, how is Grand Wizard making more money than me? It was a way to turn me against someone who I associate with and I trust. They're saying, oh, we have the documents to say that Grand Wizard gets millions of dollars and the money that you've gotten paid out from certain shit isn't millions of dollars. And that was supposed to turn me against him. No, I told that to Grand too. I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna just keep it a bean.
Now, the thing that I find interesting is how Charlamagne almost tries to frame it like Akademiks may genuinely be unaware to all the alleged paid propaganda in favor of Drake that comes from his employees over at Akademiks TV. Meanwhile, Akademiks is here saying he feels bad that Charlamagne is being, discussed in a negative light. The thing is, all these negative things that are being posted about Charlamagne are coming from the Akademiks TV Twitter page. So if Akademiks really feels bad about it, wouldn't he just red light all these posts from actually being sent out? You can make the argument that Akademiks has just given Grand Wizard Chat Guy free reign to say anything he wants, slanderous, disgusting, whatever the case is, about any celebrity if it works towards Akademiks or Drake's favor. But it almost sounds like Akademiks is so far removed from this operation that his name is attached to that things can almost be said without Akademiks' control. And once you get to that point, it becomes a slippery slope. Even if Drake is not paying off this page, everything being posted on it has Akademiks' name attached to it. So by sheer fact of association, any misinformation or slander that could lead to a lawsuit will fall into the lap of the Big Mac Bandit. And when this brand you're attached to has a vast resume of not just racism and bigotry posted online, but also immense misinformation and defamation against very powerful people, it's a little scary to think that this is all happening under a brand with your name on it. And if you genuinely give them free reins and have no control over it, can you stop it before it becomes too late? Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I study rapaholics for a living.